Hello everyone, it is the Soulful Stitcher, aka Melanie. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, thank you for stopping by. If you're returning, thank you so much for being loyal. Please like, subscribe, and share all of those great things so more floss tubers get to know who I am and make me feel welcome in the community. So today, it's not your normal Flosstube video. We are doing in the group What WIP. We are doing 31 days of WIPs. In that particular group, we don't do any new starts. It's not about that. However, I run another group called Soulful Stitching, and in that group we're going to do 31 days as well. But in there you can do new starts. So I have my list of 31 WIPs, and they are in no particular order. Simply every day that I wake up in March, whatever I feel like stitching on out of that list is what I'm going to stitch on. So let's get busy. The first one is Meg March from Brooks Books. Now, I am actually going to do all of them, but I'm working on Meg first. And this is where I am at. And I even have my Little Women, needle minder. And so she's almost done. You know, I need to stop messing around and just get her done. It's just, you know how it is. You stitch on something, you get pretty close to the end, and for whatever reason, that's the time that you want to stop working on it, when you're like 5 stitches away. I'm being facetious, but you get what I'm saying. So that's one. The next one is going to be, let's see what we got. Oh, it is by Shannon Christine. It's called Pretty Flower Sampler. I mean, I love this. I love it, love it, love it. All the bright colors. And this is where I am at on that. Oh, and on Little Women, I am stitching that on a 40 count flax. This one is just a 32 count lamb's wool, and that's where I'm at. Okay. Excuse me for the crinkling, because as I show things, I'm going to be putting them away to make it easier for me to clean up at the end of the video. Okay. Let me just go ahead and mark off some of these so I know which ones I showed. All right. Okay. Next up, the one, the only, Sky Blue Street. I need to stop dragging butt. I really do. And I just need to get this finished. But it's just so detailed and so intricate. So, you know, like after a little while stitching on it, it's just like, come on, dude. So I'm right there getting ready to do the bakery door and all of that good stuff. Okay. And let me show you the cover page of that, which you guys are probably already worn out of because you've seen it so much. And I'm sure you guys, like me, just want to see the finished product. And that is Sky Blue Street by Soda Stitch. I'm just so determined to have this done this year. Like, I'm not carrying this into, you know, 2021. I absolutely refuse. I will retire it before I take it into 2021, because it's like, come on, Mel, get it together. So the next one is out of print, and it is by the Good Housewife, however you want to say that, and it is called Never Enough Time. Okay. And this is where I am at on this one. And I'm just using DMC for this. And Victorian motto thread for the actual time. So this is where I'm at. See, So I'm using a Victorian motto thread for the actual herb. Perfect. I know I'm definitely going to have that one finished because, you know, when you manage a group, you really have to be an example for the members, and you really need to stand on what you say. So if you create challenges and you say, you know, I'm going to be a part of this and I'm going to do this and that, you know, well, how do you expect other people to be motivated to stitch if you're not motivated to stitch, you know? So I've been really feeling convicted about that. And don't get me wrong now, I'm not sitting over here leaking tears about it, but I do feel strongly about being an example. And I think I've kind of BS'd around enough with my stitching and stuff and really need to get stitching done. See, it's okay for those of you who say stuff like, oh, I'll stitch it when I want it, yada, 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 but you're producing other finishes. And it's another thing for me to use that as an excuse. Oh, I'll stitch it when I want it. I don't have to rush, you know, that whole spiel. But on the back end, I'm not even producing finishes. So, you know, it'd be something different if I was producing finishes, but then, you know, just starting all this stuff and not getting anywhere, it's no longer feeling good. And I don't like to use the excuse because I'm an adult and no one can make me do anything. That makes it okay for me to start all this stuff and not do anything with it. So enough of that rabbit trail. So the next one is called Summer Baskets, and it's by Scissortail Designs. And I love this one. But the cool thing is the picture doesn't even match with the actual stitching. Like the colors in the picture are darker, but the over dyed threads that I'm using are way brighter. And I actually like that. So this is how far I've gotten on that. And this is just a 40 count ivory that I'm using. Just something in my stash that I had. Okay. That much. And then we get down to the one and only Miss Erica Michaels. And this is called Charity for All. And when I had seen Mischievous Stitches stitch this, I knew I had to have it. And especially since Erica went out of her way to quote unquote re-release this. So I'm just doing this on a 28 count over 1 linen called Mink. And this is where I am at. And I am using Splendor Silk. Just a black Splendor Silk. Okay. Next up, what do we have here? We have another Shannon Christine design. And this is called Pink Barn. I don't even know what I was thinking. I kept calling this Pink Farm. It really does help to like know the title, the correct title of stuff. Like I'm a hot mess. So here's Pink Barn by Shannon Christine Designs. And this is where I'm at. And I'm just stitching this over 1 on a even weave that I dyed myself. And this is where I am at on it. So I made a little bit of a boo-boo. If you look closely, you can see white clouds here. Well, yesterday, not paying attention, I used 3756, which is kind of a color like this. I am going to take it out and redo it in white, but I'm just not doing it right now. And then also, this is the quilt. And you have a lot of half stitches in it. And even though the way she charted it is actually beautiful, because I'm not interested in doing all that, I'm going to figure out how to do the quilt differently. Just something easy, whole stitches in there. But I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that. And I'm just using regular DMC. Okay? Next up. Also in Soulful Stitching, we have a March challenge called I Flip My Hair Back and Forth. And what that means is flip through magazine. So, you know, you're supposed to use magazine charts for that particular challenge. So this whip that I'm going to show you will go for, you know, 2 of those challenges. It'll go for my March Madness, and then it'll go for the magazine challenge in Soulful Stitching. And that is, I don't know, and I'm not going to butcher it. So this is the pattern. This is the title. And I have no idea how you say that in French, and I am not going to sit up here and make myself look like a fool. No, ma'am. So I am stitching this on a 32 count Jobelin, and it's called Forest Bloom. This is beautiful. I mean, just beautiful. I mean, the perfect fabric to go with this. And this is how far I've gotten. Okay. I can't wait to stitch on that. The next one is another Soda Stitch. And this one is one that I've had for many years that I'm also not going to take into 2021. Like, I'm going to get this done. Listen, dude, I'm so serious about getting these whips knocked out that I'm not even messing around, man. Like, I'm not messing around. So this is called Korean Traditional Household Items. This is the Korean Traditional Household Items for a male. I also have the other one, which is for a female. So that's that. I'm stitching this on a 40 count. I'm not sure what the color is, but I know it's a 40 count. And I'm using just regular DMC on this too. So this might be flax or lamb's wool, one of the two. And this is where I'm at. I just need to fill in the hat here. Yep, I just need to fill in the hat. Then a couple more things, and then I'll be done with it. Oh, and I need to finish the fan as well, the top of the fan. But you know, the cool thing is, you know how, you know, white will kind of get fuzzy or dingy over time. I honestly have to say, the white looks good, and so do my stitches. It really looks good. I'm really impressed that, you know, for the years that I've had this, and I think that I, you know, got this back in like 2014, 2015, and they still look amazing. So I'm really happy about that. So the next one coming up is by Summer House Stitch Works, and it is called A Bee in Your Bonnet. And this is up here, the one that I'm going to be stitching. And I got all of the called for. I am using the 40 count Sunflower Linen by Lakeside Linens. And I'm also using the Gentle Art threads. However, I missed 2. I don't know how I did that. I don't know how I missed that. So I had to go in and do a substitute. And so this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm at. Just a tiny start, but with this March Madness, I'll get some more going on it. And I love the linen. It's beautiful. That straw flower linen, I love it. So next up, what we have here is the Always Flowers sampler, and that is by Stitches Through the Years. And this is what it looks like. And I am doing this on a 40 count Vicky Clayton linen. And I have to say this, and I don't mean to be rude, but I'm actually going to contradict myself as well. That her linen is awful. The two pieces that I have, it literally feels like I'm stitching on gauze from the store. However, here's my contradictory statement. It's working out beautifully for this particular pattern. It really is. So even though I really don't care for it, I would buy it again just because of the fact that I know I could find it to work for something else. But it's very thin. You can see through it. But here is where I'm at. I'm just stitching on the border. Trying to get that border done. So that way I can start filling in. So there's that. You just can't use it for everything. You really can't. Okay. So now let's turn to the left here. The next one that we have is the Red Queen, or Queen of Hearts. One of the two, I can't remember. Okay. It's the Queen of Hearts. I kept calling her the Red Queen, but that was the wrong name. And here's where I am at, working on the kitty. And I need to stop messing around because this is a beautiful pattern too. I didn't get the kit. I just decided to kit it myself. And that just came out a lot less, that just came out cheaper for me. So the next one is Suffragette. Everybody knows that. Oh, and for that I'm using DMC and DMC Diamante Floss for the Queen of Hearts. For this one I'm just using regular DMC. Okay, and this is where I'm at on this, and I'm just stitching this also on a 32 count lamb's wool. And this is where I'm at. I'm changing it and making this an African American woman to celebrate in 1965 that women of color could vote. Next up, oh yeah, this is my baby. Just like Sky Blue Street, this is my girl right here. And this one is called All Woman, like by Love Thy Thread. Oh, let me hold this. I have completed every single thing on this. However, so I didn't complete every single thing on this. Right. Because I now am moving into this. And, dude, that's a lot of black. So I'm going to work on that bit by bit. But that is one also that has to be completed this year. I mean, I literally bought this when it first came out, and that was in 2014. And it's time to get that one. And I'm going to make it into a wall hanging. So that's what I'm doing with her. She is my inner nemesis. Okay, next up. Everyone is familiar with this one. And this one is called Emerald City by Owl Forest Embroidery. And I am doing this on a 40 count, like a green linen. However, I did it backwards. I started Toto and Dorothy up here. Because in my head, that's generally when I have my stitching, that's where I start to stitch. I always start in the upper left-hand corner. So I didn't pay attention to the picture. And I started that in the beginning, which it's not a big deal, you know, but, and I like being different from everyone else anyway, so it really isn't a big deal. But as you can see, I need to get moving on it. Next up, this is another one that I've had for a really long time, and it's like, girl, get yourself together. Yeah. Yeah, see? Oh, it doesn't tell me what year I bought this. Doesn't tell me. But this is a Barbara Anna design called October 31st. And I'm also just doing this on a linen that I had in my stash, a 32 count, and I think it's either considered raw or natural. And I'm actually using the Valdani threads that it calls for, along with the DMC that it calls for. And this is where I am at on that. Not far at all. And it looks like I am stitching it over 2. And generally on 32 count or 28 count, I stitch it over 1. But for whatever reason, I decided to stitch it over 2. So that's that one. 21 minutes in, not too bad. Next up, we have Pride and Prejudice Stitching Book Club, and it's really by Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts, but she does the book clubs on Instagram, and they're actually doing Three Musketeers. I kind of opted out of that one because that really wasn't my jam. However, I think she's going to be doing Frankenstein and something else, so I might join in on that one. And this is where I am at. This is just a 28 count linen that I hand dyed myself. And I'm stitching it over 1. Okay. Next up. And this is another one that I need to get moving on. And with that one, I am stitching it with DMC, just regular DMC. This is another one that I need to get moving on too. And this is the Autumn Quakers. And it's a Sal that Garan tote bags. Started. And I jumped on the bandwagon, and honey, I only got a few stitches in that and put that thing right on up. And I'm using the actual Valdani threads that it calls for. But I tell you what, I do want the winter one. I saw the winter one and I was just like, oh yes ma'am, yes ma'am. And this is my start. Hot mess. Just ridiculous. And this is just a 28 count even weave that I got from Hobby Lobby. And I'm stitching it over 1. So, yes ma'am, I want that winter one. That winter one is absolutely gorgeous. Okay. Next up, we have another Shannon Christine design. And this one is called Romance in Paris. This is another one that I hand dyed myself. It's 28 count even weave from Hobby Lobby. It's 28 count from Michaels. And this is where I'm at. And that one calls for just regular DMC, and I'm using Petite Treasure braid in place of the Krennic that it calls for. Okay. This is another one that's going to go for two different sows. It's going to be for What Whip, and it's also going to be for the sow I flip my hair back and forth, the magazine sow. This is a Joan Elliott piece. Let's see, where is it? Okay, here we go. This is a Joan Elliott piece, and it's called Oriental Lady. And it came out of the Cross Stitch collection 2008. But I didn't buy it in 2008. And this is where I'm at. Just the top of her hair. That's it. So, and I'm stitching it over one. Just regular DMC and even weave from Michaels. Here's another one. This is by my favorite designer. One of my favorites, because I have two now. Shannon Christine and Little House Needleworks. My favorite. And this is called Song of the Seasons. It was a mystery sampler. Basically, she sent it out in 3 parts. And I'm just doing this on a 40 count ivory. And this is where I'm at with it. Almost, you know, getting it done. Slowly but surely. But I love it. And I am using the called for Weeks Dye Works. Okay. Next up, we have Three Pumpkins 3 by Lottie Da. And this is just another fabric that I found in my stash. Don't know, but I think it's a 28 count because the stitches are kind of big. But this is where I'm at. I'm just getting the framing done. That's all. Working on the frame so I can start filling in the inside. And I am using Splendor silk with that. Next up, we have Glitter Village. I'm not going to take it out. You guys obviously have seen this. Yeah, there we go. Glitter Village. It's house number 1. And I was going to do it over 1, but I decided not to. It was just difficult and I hated it. So I'm doing it over 2 on the called for fabric with the called for threads, which is just the Belfast silver raw silver linen. And this is where I'm at. Okay. Next up, and I told you I'm using the call for threads, which is just crescent colors. Loosened Nolan by Pineberry. And this is just a very minor start. Again, this is just the linen coming from my stash. This is what it looks like. Let's see if we can, yeah, there we go. Get that glare off of there. Okay, I'm going to be using Shaded Midnight by Victorian Motto Threads. And I don't like the lettering, the way the lettering is. So this one's just taking me a hot minute because I have to figure out what style lettering that I want without messing it up. And, you know, that's really not my forte. So it's just going to take me a hot minute to figure that out. But it looks like this is a 40 count something raw or something. And that's the little start that I have. Okay. Another one that has sat in my stash like absolutely ridiculous amount of time. I'm not going to say that this particular one is going to be finished. I would like to get it finished, but I don't know. And this is Drawn Thread Sampler Game Board. I'm using the called for DMC. And I'm actually doing this on an oatmeal even weave, and I'm stitching it over one. And this is how far I have gotten on this. Okay. It's very pretty. Okay. Next up, almost to the end. I have one more to show you and we will be at 31. So this is 12 Cottages. You guys have seen this one, but it does not have a cover, unfortunately. Some of these Etsy designers have got to get with the program with this. This is where I'm at. This is part of January, okay? And it's 12, so it's January through December. And I am actually stitching this over one on, let me see what this linen is. It is Edinburgh 36 count. Edinburgh Summer Khaki 36 count. So I'm stitching that over one. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'm stitching this with one thread over two. I'm not stitching it over one. Okay, in the very last project, wait a minute. Is that? Oh, no, I have 3 more. And then, no. I'm at 30. This one right here will make it 30. This is in a beautiful project bag that I got sent to, that a friend sent me. That's beautiful, and it is perfect for this one, which, without further ado, The Baker's Wife by Mirabilia. I can put that later. And this is where I'm at, and I'm redoing this on a 32 count lamb's wool, and this is how far I've gotten. Just that outside border. So, and I meant to say 31. Those are my 31 projects for the month of March, for March Madness. I hope if you are in Soulful Stitching that you join along with us. If you do March Madness in Soulful Stitching, you may add new starts to it. If you're doing it in What WIP, you can only use WIPs for it. So that's it. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy the, I know some of you are up north, so you probably have gotten some snow and it's pretty cold, but just still enjoy that sunshine. And until my next floss tube, you guys have a great day.